and accuse the Democratic House rep from California, Eric Swalwell, of inappropriate touching and harassment. And there are quite a few more allegations and problems with this man. Let's talk about it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the variety of problems that Eric Swalwell allegedly has. And if you don't know who this is, let me give you a brief intro before we get into all the details. Now, Eric Swalwell is a Democratic House rep from California who is currently leading the California governor's race. Gavin Newsom, of course, wants to become the president. So the plan here is to replace Lord Emperor Gavin with his protege, I guess you would say, Eric Swalwell. The problem with Eric Swalwell is there is a documented history of harassment when it comes to interns and employees and whatnot. There's also some financial problems. There's also allegations that he is spending campaign finance money inappropriately, paying his own wife up to $200,000 to babysit their own children. Now, before I go any further into it, let's get straight to the clips. Of course, I will link to everything in the description box if you want to see it and hear it without my commentary. If you're on IG, Facebook, etc., visit a link in the bio, go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
The Democratic candidate currently leading in the California governor's race has a known history of being predatory towards women. And while it may be seen as politically expedient to sweep this under the rug, it is the wrong thing to do, and we know it. I worked on the Hill. I know many women who still do, and this message that I received yesterday is not unique. I have received others, and there are many women who have reached out to other political commentators and to reporters with their stories. This particular message follows the same pattern as the other allegations currently circulating. You know Eric Swalwell has slept with many of his interns and makes them all sign NDAs so they don't speak up, right? And when I was 19, he tried hitting on me and sliding into my DMs, and I have so many other friends that have similar experiences with him. Like I said, this message that I received is not an anomaly. It's part of a pattern. Other commentators have come forward, like this one, saying that no less than a dozen people have come forward to them alleging that Swalwell has had inappropriate relationships with young staffers for years. I understand that because the Trump administration is currently trying to weaponize similar allegations against Swalwell, having this conversation or publicly acknowledging it may feel like aligning with Trump, but that is not the truth. It is aligning with women. Politically, if this is a weakness that Trump can exploit, then it's something that we do need to acknowledge. And more important, morally, if we as a party are willing to bury these kinds of allegations, we are no better than those we point the finger at. Lastly, I would not be surprised if we soon see many other folks come forward. Conversations that I have had suggest that creators who have heard these stories and women who have experienced it are currently sitting on the sidelines because they're afraid of retaliation, of not being able to work in this space anymore if they speak up. But I think as more people come forward, we will hear other voices coming in and echoing these allegations. So we need to deal with this and address this now. People have questions about why I decided to make public comments about allegations of sexual harassment against Eric Swalwell before a major news outlet published the story. So let me be as clear and transparent about that as I safely can be. I am personally working with a group of women who want to come forward and share their stories. I am also aware of a much larger group that is also in this process that I am not personally working with. We have secured pro bono legal representation for them, and they are in the process of sharing their information with major outlets while ensuring that their legal and physical safety is protected. That process takes time, but the number of credible women who have come forward since I posted my first video is really shocking, and all of them moving forward together has greatly expedited the timeline of this whole process. I got deeply involved because, like I said in my first video, I had heard these rumors for years, going back to the time when I was working on the Hill. But the first person who approached me with their story was a close personal friend of mine. Then, once I started digging into it and I found that there were a number of other women whose stories matched the same pattern of manipulation and abuse of power, I knew that I couldn't stay silent because these women needed to know that if they came forward, there was a group of people that would have their back. I understand that people want as much information as possible about these women, their stories, their identities, and the proof to back this all up. The problem is that many of these women have remained silent for so long because they believed that they were alone and that if they came forward, it would ruin their careers. And as someone who has worked in politics, I can't disagree with that assessment. It appears that others may have stayed silent because of a belief that non-disclosure agreements required them to keep this secret. While it is true that most NDAs would be unenforceable under these circumstances, most people don't know that, and the idea of challenging a powerful sitting congressman in court is not something that most people want to do. I understand and appreciate that people are engaging with discernment and critical thinking when they see things like this online. However, there are very real limits to what I can share here and why. I am still sharing these details here before this story breaks more widely to help ensure that women know they can come forward and to help this story break as soon as possible, because I am not blind to the fact that this will have an impact on the California governor's race. One more key point. I'm an attorney. I'm well aware of the fact that if I were to get on my platform and share lies about a public figure, I could be subject to a lawsuit for defamation. That being said, Swalwell follows me, and I know that his team is aware of my video and the videos that other creators have made on this topic. To the best of my knowledge, none of us have been served with legal paperwork or sent a cease and desist. They can't, because the truth is an absolute defense. I also work in politics. I'm aware that having this conversation publicly could lead people that I work with to view me as a liability, but I do not believe in holding Republicans to a standard that we are not willing to uphold ourselves. No more predators in power from either party. Period. So if you or someone you know has a story that you would like to share, or you would like to know what resources that we have available for you, please reach out.
All right, there we go. So that was quite a bit. And of course, as you heard many times, this is not a Republican, not a conservative, not a MAGA. This is a Democratic person who is cool with Democratic people. She is not a Trump supporter. And her name, this is going to be Cheyenne Hunt over in California, executive director of Gen Z for Change, lawyer, activist, co-host of the Baddies for the People, lover of democracy and matcha. Okay, that is her. All right, now, there's a lot we got to get into. There's a whole lot. First of all, some are going to say, well, look, ABL, it's just an allegation. Just allegations, just like Brett Kavanaugh, just like others when we found out that it was false, just like President Trump. Okay, but see, there's some issues with that. There's some issues with that because with a Brett Kavanaugh, for example, there was no prior history of him doing anything crazy. But with Eric Swalwell, there is a prior history, most famously the whole Fang Fang Yum Yum situation. Let's play this infamous video from 2023. Then I'm going to show you an article. Then I'm going to show you a lot more about this man. Check it out.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Rodriguez, I apologize that you're here for a hearing on the border. They don't want to talk about a border. Mr. Swalwell is down there. Obviously, everybody knows he's made some comments. He's got a checkered past. He's alleged relationships.
A checkered past? I would ask.
It's my time. Alleged affairs, relationships with
No.
Yum Yum.
You don't get to say that. That's not
he had
true.
alleged relationships with Yum Yum.
I asked the gentleman's words to be taken down.
You don't get to say
Mr.
that,
Chairman,
pal.
Yes, the gentleman's words be taken down as casting a slur on another member.
I am here.
He's making.
Yeah, so it's safe to say that Eric Swalwell did not like the Yum Yum allegation or bringing that up, okay? Now, if you don't know about Yum Yum, let me just show you an article. This is, again, from 2023. House Ethics Committee concludes probe into House Rep. Eric Swalwell's interaction with suspected Chinese spy. And her name was Fang Fang, as a man called her Yum Yum, which is hilarious. Okay, so there's Eric, all right? And there is Yum Yum. Now, I don't know where they are, but it appears to be some kind of Chinese event where he's at, maybe at her behest. I don't really know what's going on, but that's the alleged spy right there, Fang Fang, aka Yum Yum. So that's the first thing right there. You got a history with these women. That's kind of like your weakness is the women, and that's known by the Chinese Communist Party. That's why they sent that spy to you allegedly. Now, speaking about Brett Kavanaugh, because some are going to say, well, look, ABL. Brett Kavanaugh was accused. They had Christine Blasey Ford on the cover of Time magazine. It was a whole big thing. They gave her a bunch of money, all to discredit him, so he was not able to join the Supreme Court. Now, thankfully, it didn't work. You know, look at God working very well. It didn't work. But guess who was the tip of the spear when it comes to trying to get Kavanaugh out of the way due to the harassment allegation? None other than Eric Swalwell. 2018, check it out.
For Brett Kavanaugh's sake, if he is innocent, I hope tomorrow he opens his statement and says, you know what? bring in all the victims, allow them to be heard, allow them to be questioned. That will clear his name if he's indeed innocent. And if he's not, for the sake of the credibility of the court, I hope that the senators would vote against him. It's very easy to isolate one incident and shine inaccuracies or inconsistencies on that case. But the more and more cases that are separate and independent that look the same, pretty soon a prosecutor starts to say to a jury, and this is not a jury, but it's allegations that the arrows are pointing in the same direction. And what are the chances that 3 or 4 women independently who never met each other would have similar experiences with one person? So either, Ari, this person committed these horrific acts, or he is the single unluckiest person in the world for these people to conspire and make up lies against him. But it's a very hard case to make, the more allegations that come in. For Brett.
Eric Swalwell, 3 or 4 women. There are over a dozen women prepared to come against you. So will this same argument you gave to try and throw Brett Kavanaugh under the bus be applicable to you? Why or why not?